Milwaukee and the people living here?
How does race affect them? Well, I think there is a problem with the Afro-American community. They are not totally accepted by the Caucasian population. They are poorly employed for the most part. They have a poor attitude towards other blacks, and they have a tendency to be drug addicts. They, generally speaking, they're just in trouble. They also are taken advantage of by the other part of the community. And in Milwaukee County, the the people that are in jail are more than any other group of people. And I personally belong to an organization called 11 by 15, and that is, the goal is to reduce the black prison population in half between 2011 and 2015, if we can possibly do it. There are lots of things. They are incarcerated for many reasons, and some of them are artificial reasons, some of them are real. But the problem is that they have to, in order to exist, they sometimes feel that's necessary to steal, to commit theft, they get their hands on guns and they solve their problems with guns, and it's a bad situation. But there are artificial problems too. For instance, if you're on parole, you have to wear an electronic device. Sometimes that electronic device doesn't work well. And what happens is they are then put back in jail because of the malfunction of the electronic device that the Caucasian structure is placed on them.
Okay.
Okay? There are also, many years ago, and this is due to faults of people like me, when the Title 19 first came out, which was government payment of medical bills for poor people. And we instigated a rule that one of the criteria for getting money from the state was to have evidence of no husband in the house. So there's a tremendous tendency for black people who wanted to get help. They never got married, and they have no husband in the house, so they got funds from the city and from the county and from the state. Okay?
What does equal opportunity mean?
Equal opportunity is given the same rights as people of your age, of their age, no matter what the color creed is. They can be polka dot, they can be striped, they can be white, black, no matter what it is, but they get equal opportunity to achieve and to make go for it. And they don't have it in the city. The blacks don't have it in the city.
You don't think it exists in Milwaukee?
No, no. There's, years ago, we had some good, intelligent laws. One of them is that if you worked for the city, where's Lois?
She's outside.
Worked for the city, then what you got, you had to live in the city, which is a good idea, but it is, doesn't happen anymore. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Do you think people treat you differently because of your race? Either good
Because-
or bad?
Because of my race,
Mm-hmm.
they treat me better because, well, it depends who we're talking about. For instance, I think I don't get treated as well by black people as I do by white people. Now, the other thing is their race is one thing, but also religion is another. All my life I've been treated haphazardly, badly, because I'm Jewish. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been self-conscious of the fact that you're white?
No.
No? Okay. What is your role in the race issues that are in Milwaukee?
All my life I've been involved in trying to make things equal, give equal opportunity to blacks. This goes back some 40 years. More than that. Since I was in my teens, really. Since I was in medical school.
Was there ever a time where you felt confined because of the fact that you're white?
Confined?
Like you felt like you couldn't do something because of the social aspects of being white?
No,
Never?
no.
When you see yourself represented on TV or in books or in movies, do you think it's accurate and it has a good effect on you? When you see white people represented?
No, not really, because all white people aren't bad, and they're not all racists, and they're not all anti-black. So I think all white people aren't the same. They're different, and I think that's and just like all black people aren't the same. They're different. You know, I'm Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 daughters, and I had a son. And all their life, I always said to them, I don't care who you marry. I don't care if they're striped, polka dot, so forth and so on, as long as they are nice people. That's the most important. If they're nice individuals, I don't care what they are.
So you mentioned religion being kind of related to race, right?
Yes.
What other issues do you think are linked with race?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that.
Like, how much does socioeconomic status affect?
Well, it goes along. If you're impoverished, if you don't have equal opportunity, then from a numeric standpoint, you don't make as much money. And if you don't make as much money, then you're poor. and you can't get what you need. Oddly enough, there's lots of people who are black who have the wrong criteria for having something. In other words, they used to drive fancy cars. They had, we never had a television set till my kids were grown, really. And we drove used cars. And black people don't often do that. They spend their money differently.
Do you feel that your race is an important part of who you are?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want to
Absolutely.
elaborate?
I'm lucky to be Caucasian. And because am lucky, I tend to do what I do. But that's the way I was born. Okay?
So you feel being white is a huge privilege?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Does race impact your daily life?
Oh, yes. This case in point. 2.5 years ago, I received an award called the Martin Luther King Award. And what happened was this. They gave me a plaque and a certificate. When I came into the hospital here, I wasn't treated very well by the black personnel. So what I did is I asked my wife to bring the display,
The plaque?
the plaque. And I thought if I displayed the plaque on that counter in front of the television set and the black personnel saw it, they might treat me a little better. Well, no way, no way. What I did do is I have a sort of biography that my rabbi wrote for our temple paper, and I have copies of it. So I took a copy and I let them see it as often as I could. So they realized that I'm just not a patient, that I've done things in my life for their benefit. But it didn't do any good. I still was treated haphazardly.
Where do you see the future of Milwaukee's race issues in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, like any place in this country, I think it's got to get better. It's got to get better. And I think it might. Any place in this country, we have communities that have race problems. And a lot of them, we changed a lot of them. There were problems that existed in the 60s that we corrected. Where could you live in the city of Milwaukee when you were black? It used to be that you only could live north of the valley, and that the abundance of people that lived south of the valley were Polish. They used to say the 16th Street Viaduct was the longest bridge in the world because it existed and ran from Poland to North Africa. And this is what they used as terminology. I think things are somewhat better, but if you're poor, if you don't have a decent job and you're poor, there's a tendency for you to do things you shouldn't do. You steal, you may accost other people, and it's not so healthy. Okay? Anything else?